All right, I think we're live. So we try this out for the first time. Cofield hanging out. Sorry for the late start. We were going to do a 9 o'clock podcast tonight, but we had some behind-the-scenes difficulties. So sorry you won't be seeing Petro tonight. We'll get him on soon. He'll be on the air certainly at least once or twice before the Super Bowl. So we'll let you guys kind of file in if we got anyone out there. So I don't know if you can see it. There you go. Thomas and Mack, after the Rebels fail to sweep Utah State. That's not awful. I thought a split would be pretty solid, but a sweep would have been freaking cool considering, the Rebels played pretty well in game number one, especially on defense, and had a 10-point lead with less than 4 minutes left. By the way, if you want to comment, I'll get the comment room. Thanks, Brady. I get a haircut like once every 4 months. But yeah, if you got any reaction, if you watched the game on FS1, how was Doug Gottlieb tonight? Was he good? I was wondering what he was thinking of when it got real ugly in the second half. But if you didn't watch the game, the Rebels lost 83-74 to Utah State. All right, happy birthday, Cameron. Cool deal. By the look of the picture, like 27? 27? So Rebels lose 83-74. Decent first half where they made a lot of threes. Second half, they just started out terribly, and Utah State come out hot as hell. Utah State started out the second half 6 of 8 from three-point range, and they're not really an accomplished three-point shooting team. They were terrible in game number one, but they started out 6 of 8. At one point in the second half, they were like plus 15 from three, and that was kind of the gap in the game. And the Rebels tried to fight back in it, but they just couldn't get stops. And David Jenkins did finish with 33 points. Some of it was in garbage time. I'd say the last 8 points were in garbage time, but he hit some massive bombs, some good turnarounds. So that's a really good sign. A good, productive, confident David Jenkins is going to be massive for UNLV the rest of the way. So now they're 6-7. They're 3-3 in conference. They've got a really big series coming up against Reno, but we'll get to that in a couple of minutes. But the story right now is what's going on with Bryce Hamilton. And unfortunately, the Rebels, and these are just facts, they're not excuses. But unfortunately, right now, Bryce Hamilton is probably 60 or 70% at best of what he normally is. He turned an ankle at the very end of the New Mexico game, which is a shame because you saw what they did in the first game against New Mexico. They handled them easily, and then they struggled so badly in the second game against New Mexico. As New Mexico got it, really physical. Bryce had to go freaking off in the final 4 minutes of that game against New Mexico just to get the win. Well, on one of the final plays of the game, it was actually about probably 45 seconds out, a minute out, he turned an ankle, and he ain't right. I mean, he sat out the get-right game against Benedictine Mesa. I thought he was okay in the first game, but he was still affected by it. He was 4-16 from the floor. He had a ton of trouble defending Marco Anthony, who's one of the wings for Utah State. Anthony's a little bigger and stronger than him, but he's not faster. And Bryce had trouble containing him. And worst of all, Bryce, I don't think I've seen many defensive players who can actually stay in front of Bryce. If Bryce wants to get to the lane and rise and make from 10 feet, he can do it. If he wants to get to the glass, if he wants to get into a body, anytime he wants to turn the corner against defenders, normally he can do it. But you can see in game one of this, and they got the win. Bryce scored, but he couldn't turn the corner, and he had a lot of trouble defending Marco Anthony. And in the short season, hey, injuries, tough luck. Tough luck. You don't have any time to recover, so you got to come back a day and a half later. And tonight he didn't have any lift. They tried to the last 2 games. They tried to change things up by making him work less to get the ball and had him playing a lot of point guard. But tonight playing the point was a little bit dangerous for him because again he's hobbled and he just couldn't get good looks. When he did get good looks, he was coming up short. Front rim on a lot of stuff. So he wound up only scoring 2 points. This is a guy who scored double figures, 30 points. Check that, 30 games in a row. So tonight, without Bryce Hamilton, a fully effective Bryce Hamilton scoring, defending, it's going to be tough for this team to beat a team like Utah State. And Craig Smith's got a good program. Do we have a surprise guest? Will I be able to hear him? Adam Hill is with us. Oh, I actually can hear you. All right. Well, thanks for doing this, Adam. Where are you, Adam?
I'm up here.
Turn the camera around.
I got you. Should I just look it down? Hi, I see you.
Yeah, there you go. Adam's upstairs. Only the gifted and talented are allowed on the floor. Although you should be on the floor, I shouldn't. You've had COVID.
I don't know if that's true. That's true.
Yeah. Well, you've had COVID. I haven't. So Craig Smith is like 50 feet from me. Be careful. So, I was getting into the game. And, the story of the game, I know someone was getting on me for not talking about David Jenkins more, like right out of the gate when I was tweeting. And he had a great game. He had 33 points. So that's good for the program. That's good for the season. But the story of the game was it's Bryce Hamilton right now. He's not 100%. And he tried. And, I was doing the radio broadcast tonight, Adam, as you know. And John Sandler said to Curtis I think it was like 10:45 left. Bryce sat down and John was making the suggestion maybe it's just time to pack it in and not have Bryce play the rest of the way. Bryce came back in. He finally scored some points. He scored, I think, at like the 9:45 mark of the game. But he finished with 2 points. And for the Rebels, a less than healthy Bryce Hamilton just changes everything.
Yeah, no question about it. I actually, looking down at my colleague Jason Orts, who was covering the game here, and I think there was about 5 minutes left. They kept trying to get it down to like 11-9. They were hanging around in it, but they just couldn't get over that hump. And I just leaned over and I was like, if Hamilton could give them anything, and that's not a criticism of Hamilton, he was battling and really trying to play through the ankle injury. But I think he put everything into the first game and just had nothing left on the bounce back. He sat out the game before this series to try to get healthy. He put everything he possibly had into it, and then just didn't have anything left for tonight. So I think that was a big factor. Obviously, David Jenkins tried to pick up the slack a little bit, but you need that second scorer. And I think we saw just a couple of times where, and TJ Otzelberger actually mentioned after the game, where you just didn't see the cutting and the just the slashing ability of Hamilton. And then even when you get there, like against this Utah State team, a couple of times, both Hamilton and Jenkins, when they get to the paint and they can go to the rim, they can get so creative around the rim with their shots. But with Kada standing there, he was just impacting everything they wanted to do. So, credit to him for sure, for trying to battle through it, and credit to Jenkins for doing everything he could. But they just didn't have enough offense to overcome that really, really strong Utah State defense today.
By the way, from a betting standpoint, the game was +7. Rebels got it to 77-68. They had ball in hand. Caleb Grill came up the floor and took, I don't know what that was, a 27-foot three-pointer from the left side. That would have got it down to 77-71. And actually, from the real basketball standpoint, that was probably with about 50 seconds left, so that could have put a little pressure on Utah State. I will say this. David Jenkins, great game. By the way, he's talking right now to Anderson for Utah State, who actually came up with some big buckets. He has been dreadful in the games that he's been at Utah State against UNLV. By the way, Brock Miller has also been dreadful in the games. Where is he? Against UNLV. So he was productive tonight. What did Anderson finish with? He had 5, but one was a 3. Brock Miller had 15. He's never scored double figures against UNLV. So those guys were big contributors. And
it's funny he's talking to Anderson. I see him out there at midcourt as well. That was actually the question I was going to ask after the game to Jenkins, like how well he knows them, because I know that they're in. They come from the same area, both come from Tacoma. I think they're the same age, actually, because I was reading some old stories about that area and some of the really, really good players that came out of the area right around the same time. And Malachi Flynn was there. It was a senior in Tacoma when Jenkins was also there. Yep. And Anderson was one of the really good players in the area as well. So I figured they knew each other pretty well. Right now they look like they're old best friends out there, kind of laughing it up as they talk on the floor. But I thought Anderson actually gave them a couple of really, really important buckets. I think off the top of my head, he only had 5 points, but I thought they were pretty key points where Cato was on the bench. They were trying to, not let UNLV make a run when Cato was on the bench, and Anderson came over with a couple of really big shots for them at key moments.
Here's the thing with a player like Anderson. In a game like this, maybe he'll score 5 points, but I'll tell you, there was a point in the second half. You look out on the floor, and I was on the side of the floor where Utah State was on offense, and they're a big team. Like, they're not big at power forward because Justin Bean's 6'7", but he plays like he's 6'9" because of his leaping ability and his activity. But they had Anderson out there. They had Marco Anthony, who's a transfer from Virginia, who's like 6'5", 225, and he really bullied the Rebels on the wing, just bulldozing his way inside. Again, Adam Hill, the shooting coach, would not teach Marco Anthony's shooting style to anyone.
Me and Mike Ramala for the last 2 games have sat here and wondered if maybe along the way somebody convinced him he was left-handed, and he's not.
Right.
Maybe he's just playing with the wrong hand.
He made 5 threes in the 2 games.
I know, and he made one right off the bat last game too, like right away in the game. He made a shot. So,
but when Anthony's out there, he's like 220. Anderson's 6'6", probably 220. Bean's a jumping jack. You got Keita, and then he was just walking around. I don't know how Craig Smith found him. And there are Mountain West coaches, like Medved's good at this too in his short time. There are Mountain West coaches. They find guys, and you're like, all right, how did this guy – now he's from Montana, the Raleigh Wooster kid, the point guard. He is going to be a giant pain in the ass for everyone else in the conference, and everyone in the conference is going to be like, how did this guy wind up at Utah State?
We have 19-9-8.
Yeah, he's 19-9-8, but he's another one. He doesn't look fast. He's white, so let's just get past the whole thing, right? So there's stereotypes. He's 6'3". He's probably 195 pounds, but he can handle. He's super confident. He's a good pull-up shooter. He can get to where he wants. He doesn't look like he's a blazer in terms of speed. He can get where he wants. He's going to be freaking awesome. And then, we talk all the time about new teams. Now, it's tough to play defense when you're a new team. Not for these guys. The perimeter players are mostly new guys, and I don't know what they're going to be after this game. I mean, the Rebels did score 74 points, and a lot of it, came early with threes and then late with some catch-up ball. But this is a good defensive team, and they're number 6 in KenPom in the country in defense. And when they needed to tonight, they showed it. They freaking locked down the Rebels. And I know, Bryce Hamilton has the ankle. I didn't see the final numbers, but I think over the 2 games, Bryce was 5 of 29 against this defense from the floor.
Yeah, and there was a couple shots that I'm sure he would have liked to have back just because he just didn't have any lift. I know I'm thinking of 1-3 in particular. We got open. He worked really hard to get open. He finally got open, and then just had nothing behind the shot because of that ankle. So, you hate making excuses, and I think, even T.J. Otzelberg kind of stopped when he was talking tonight and said, hey, credit to them defensively. They're really good defensively. But let's also be honest that Bryce Hamilton was not at his best, and that's a key factor. As far as Utah State goes, I think they're ridiculously good defensively, and that's a lot to do with Keita. And, talking to some of the UNLV players after the game and hearing what, David Jenkins said, he's like, you're just thinking about him every time, essentially. Like, every single time you're like, I'm going to go make a move and go to the rim. Oh, yeah, that guy's there. And then that enables Utah State to play much, much tighter defensively on the perimeter because they're not worried about getting beat to the rim. And so it makes them so good defensively. So they're elite defensively. Offensively, they are a bit of a disaster. I mean, they got some points off of their defense today and were able to score, and they were able to win because of that. But they're not a offensive team.
No.
That is going to cost them.
So, it's going to cost them. They have to win by playing great defense, and then they work, man. They get on the glass. They're a great rebounding team. Coming into this one, I think Bean and Keita had 52 double-doubles combined, so they're a giant pain in the ass. Brady, of course, listening to the game, I mentioned, you're right, Wooster was a two-way starter in football, safety and a quarterback. I mentioned the note during the game. He actually, as a freshman, he went up to his coach and he shook his hand. I think he power shook the coach. The coach was like, okay, this doesn't feel like a freshman. So anyway, so he's going to be a good player. And I see Marcus says it has more to do with how UNLV was hobbled and limited defensively than it does with Wooster. I'll make you a bet right now. This guy will win lots of games. He is going to be, I don't know if he's going to be an all-conference player, but he will be a second or third team all-conference player. And the other problem is without the eligibility wasted this year, he can be there for a full 5 years. You will rue the day that you're like, he ain't that good. He's going to be there for 5 years. He is going to be a giant pain in the ass.
Is that Brock Miller out there talking to Jenkins now on the floor?
I actually thought it was like a Scott Van Pelt. Where is SVP? Is that actually him?
I think it is. That's what I can't see that far.
He has nerded it up.
He's in his street clothes now. He looks like a referee. I think it looks like one of the referees talking to talking to Jenkins.
You sure that's him?
I'm not sure. It looks like him though.
I mean, he's 6'5" or 6'6" because he's taller than Anderson. He's another one though. When you watch the games, you think he's just a 3-point shooter because you watch him warm-ups. He's a great 3-point shooter. And like I said, the Rebels have defended him well until tonight. He had 15. Dude, he defends.
Oh yeah,
he was on grill tonight. No, but I mean, like you look at him and you're like, oh, he's probably just a 3-point specialist and a nightmare on defense. Grill got some looks, but like as the game went along, Grill's he's taking like 23-footers, 24-footers, 25-footers. Like he's sideways shooting half of them. He's one of those guys that's underrated. It doesn't look the part of like lockdown defender. He's freaking good.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you're not going to play on that team if you don't defend. But you're right. It's one of those guys, and I think we compare it, and it's the whiteness. The whiteness is a factor, sure, but you size up a team when you go to play them, and you're like, oh, that guy's this or that guy's this, and you make some assumptions, and they're really not that. Like you also assume they're a great 3-point shooting team, and they made shots tonight, but they're not a good 3-point shooting team. So I think you look at that guy, and you're like, yeah, that guy can't play. He can play, and he can defend like crazy. If that is him, I still think it is him out there.
We are like the most anti-white guys when it comes to basketball.
Well,
you are a racist.
Oh, you were just raving about Rolly Wooster.
That's a good point. I actually was raving about him. I'm colorblind when it comes to creating basketball. To me, Wooster the comparison would be Doc Rivers. Let's do this.
I was a big Nick Stauskas fan. It's like one of my favorite players.
But he kind of was the stereotypical guy we're talking about. Not a great defender, but can shoot the lights out.
Of course. I love that guy.
Can you give Miller a white to black comparison? Because Wooster was like right off the top. Doc Rivers. Let's go.
He's Dennis Scott.
That's terrible.
I think it's him.
Dennis Scott.
Yeah, Dennis
Scott was like 6'8", 235.
Yeah, I think that's.
Did he play any defense? I mean, he's an NBA player. He's
a defense. What is that comparison? He's a 3-and-D guy.
Oh my God! If I could go off the record right now and walk over to Craig Smith, he'd punch you right in the face. That's a terrible comparison.
He's about to walk by you in a second. Ask him what his NBA comparison for. I'll guarantee you, if we did this experiment, I would bet you any amount of money you want that he names a white guy.
I'm going to go back to the same era. I'm going to say Miller is a poor man's Dale Ellis.
Okay. Dale Ellis is super tall.
Dale Ellis was 6'6", 6'7". I mean, poor man. Obviously, Dale Ellis is like one of the greatest 3-point shooters in the history of professional basketball.
Right. That's a bad comparison.
That's not good. That's not good. Come on.
Let's hope it doesn't end.
A poor man's Tony Snell.
Tony Snell's much bigger too, though.
I think Snell's 6'7", 6'8".
He was a much more dynamic offensive player too, I feel like.
Is the court named after Tark the Shark? Where's the Tark signage? Isn't it in each corner? Tarkanian, yeah. Isn't it Tarkanian court in each corner?
Yeah, but the court is not. It's not on there right now. I don't see it.
You don't see it on the other side of the lane, across from the Vegas signs and the cityscape.
Well, I'm blocked. I'm blocked by the two Utah State players that are down there talking. Yeah, you're right. It is on there. Tarkanian court with the shark as the A.
Do you think they should have turned off the crowd noise tonight to allow? They did allow like friends and family in. There were probably about 45 or 50. I feel like we couldn't hear them because they had the ambient crowd noise going the whole game.
Steve, there's 24. I counted.
Oh, you counted 24?
Yeah, there's 24. But yeah, it's weird because they weren't making enough noise to like show up. So
I couldn't hear them. There was a crowd noise.
You still want to play it? I know, but then it's so weird when like Kata got hurt. Was it in the second half, like midway through the early second half, and then they turn the crowd noise off immediately? Like, oh, we can't have this crowd noise when there's a guy hurt. Like, it's just such a weird thing that they're still trying to figure out, and hopefully they never figure it out because, hopefully people are back at some point. But it's a weird. The crowd noise being pumped in is a really weird thing.
By the way, Petro is actually still up, so he was all amped up to do the show earlier. He just told me I'm going to keep working on some shit. So.
Well, he's got Super Bowl coming up.
He's actually not going to Tampa.
Really? Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, there's only one show at a station is going to Radio Row, so I think it's going to be a very limited Radio Row. Would you feel safe going? Well, you had COVID, so I guess you would go. You go into the belly of the beast. Why aren't you going, actually?
I'd go. Well, I don't have to. I have to. I can do everything from here. There's really no reason to go. Everything's virtual, even if you're there.
By the way, to Rick's point, I did fail by not bringing my my Battleborn Injury Lawyers signage and my Nets jersey. But someone asked me last week, and I forgot who it was. It's actually a Stephon Marbury jersey.
Oh, that's a good point, actually.
Nah.
I'm trying to think. Did you have? I'm trying to think of like some of those obscure jerseys I had when I was younger. I had like a Clippers Terry DeHare jersey.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. St. Anthony.
I don't know why. I have no idea why I had that. I just did.
Probably clearance. He was a good player. He was a fun guy to watch.
Sure.
You know what? I'm gonna change. I'm gonna change my Brock Miller. Brock Miller is Terry DeHare.
You know what's funny? That's why I thought of it.
You're still trying to get it?
Yeah. Can you call him over? Actually, we should call.
I'm not calling over a college athlete when they're like super intense about COVID. There's 6 of us on the floor. The other 5 are not wearing masks. I am a dangerous individual.
That's true. He can stand like 10 feet away from you and answer. Actually, we should ask Jenkins who the Brock Miller NBA comp is.
I'm not going near David Jenkins either. They have one scorer right now who's healthy. Can you imagine if I took him down?
I'm not saying just have him. Don't like make out with him. I'm saying stand like he can stand where like that chair is, like right like 20 feet in front of you, and you can still talk to him.
Right. Hey, David, come over and yell to a microphone that's not facing you, that no one will be able to hear.
Well,
I actually should have been prepped tonight. If I had known we weren't going to get the 9 o'clock podcast off the ground, I should have brought a little board and I could have set it up here. So, yeah, exactly. This is all we need is the sideline reporter, local talk show jackass. Sidelines UNLV for another 30 days. They'll be 6-7 going to the Mountain West Conference tournament because of me.
I mean that probably wouldn't go over well.
All right, I think they're going to turn off the lights here, so we're going to go rapid fire on some other topics real quick. Sure. Yeah, I feel like they are.
I think the TV people have to do live hits, so I think we're okay for a little bit.
Let's go rapid fire. I made the comparison of UNLV basketball and the high standards and sometimes unrealistic standards over the years during coaching searches today to Tennessee football. Because I already saw people pissing and moaning about Josh Heupel getting hired. Thoughts?
I know that people weren't happy about it. I mean, it's better than Jason Witten, right? To tie into another story today.
Absolutely. By the way, on that, you think what is Witten going to do?
I think it's a good question. I know that he has kind of indicated he wants to be a coach on some level. Now, whether that means like some kind of volunteer assistant coach at a high school while he does some other job like broadcasting, I don't know. I know John Gruden compared him to potentially being like the next Tom Landry. Wow, that's a pretty strong endorsement. That
would suggest to me that Gruden would be very open to hiring Witten on his staff. And have they made any of their moves besides the OC? They didn't fill the tight end slot, right? They didn't fill the cornerback coach slot yet, right?
No.
So then Witten could be up for the tight end gig.
Yeah, I think it could definitely happen. If he wants to be a coach, he'll get a pretty good job somewhere almost right away. I mean, not almost right away. He can coach somewhere next year. This is what he wants to do. I mean, obviously he wanted to go into broadcasting last time, and I think they thrust him into too big of a spotlight. But I think he could get better. I was actually going back and looking at some of his clips today just because I was like, how bad was he? And he wasn't great. But like there was certain things where you're like, okay, I get where he's coming from on this. I mean, the biggest mistake he made really was saying that the game was getting too left wing and liberal.
Yeah, he got caught up in that one. So, also, during the game, we know how hard it is at times to do a radio show and start getting distracted and answering tweets. Can you imagine being on Monday Night Football and you're opening up Twitter at the half and searching your name? Yeah, because he was doing that. And you're like, Witten, what are you doing?
Yeah. And he also he was criticized for stuff like, oh, they really pulled a rabbit out of their head on that one. Like, oh, it's supposed to be hat. Like, we get it. Like, those things happen. Like, I mean, we know we talk on the air, like you more than me, but 20 hours a week or whatever, and you're like, you're gonna say some dumb shit sometime.
Especially now wearing a mask, the pronunciation sometimes.
I know. Like,
I think the other day, a sideline report the other day, I definitely called them the Webbles or the Lebels. I think I called them the Lebels with an L. I'm like, I don't even know what I'm saying.
Good enough.
Moron.
So I think he was thrust into a job that he wasn't ready for, and then they criticized him for not being good at it. And like, well, what did you want? So
Right.
if he wants to go into broadcasting, I think he'll have another opportunity to do that, just on a smaller stage. Certainly, if he wants to coach somewhere, there's plenty of people giving him endorsements. I actually just saw, just before we went on, I saw Henry Ruggs' Instagram story, and basically was just raving about how good of a mentor Jason Witten has been. So,
wow.
I think that was a cool thing that he said. So I'm sure that he's going to have that opportunity, and he's still he's got a ton of credibility with younger players, and people still know who he is. It's not like his career is 20 years ago. He's just finishing right now. So whatever he wants to do, he can probably do.
There you go. The Wanting Webbles. I actually know a national radio host who would say it that way. Don't do rhymes with.
No.
Are we supposed to do double mask now? We have to do N95 over the cloth mask?
Well, I know that this is the big criticism now of the new administration. Like, they're asking a lot of questions. Like, would double mask work? Would that be better? Is that going to be more helpful? Like, everybody's trying to figure out what the best course of action is. But there was some suggestions that a double mask could potentially work. Again, I'm immune right now, so I'm good. But
hey, you're good to go. You're very cocky.
Yeah. Oh, very. Right now. But I'm also like, I'm not going to go crazy. Like, 3 months is my limit. Once we get to 3 months, I'm like, okay, I'm back to not having immunity anymore. Even if it lasts longer than that, that's my limit.
Well, the station's going to have us out 5 days a week in about 2 months, so get ready.
Okay. Well, hopefully by then I'll have a vaccine. That's the hope.
Yes. One last thing on the Tennessee job, like UNLV at times with the crazy expectations, not only results, but also what kind of coaches they want to go after when they have openings. Who was saying it earlier? Was it Doug? Tennessee has a chance because they're in the SEC and they're with ESPN. They do have a chance, but here's the thing: you can't fire your coach every 3 years. And I know they're Pruitt's facing potential recruiting violations. He also doesn't care because he now has a job with the Jets. So my guess is he's going to be in the NFL for 10 years before he ever thinks about coming back to college. But I heard Cole Kubelik, who was on with Freddie and Fitz, and his whole thing was because of the allegations, they had to hire a guy like Heupel. They got the UCF AD too. They couldn't make a run at some of the big name coaches. What big name coach is going to take that job right now, regardless of allegations? Like, PJ Fleck is going to leave Minnesota? One of the guys on the interview was like, "Yeah, you didn't have a chance at Bill O'Brien." Like, what? Bill O'Brien?
Bill O'Brien took is he offensive line coach for Alabama or something? He's
the OC.
Oh, so wait, who took?
It's a better job,
right? But who took? Sorry, you're right. Somebody took a lower level assistant job with them. Where I was like, wait, what? It was a really weird one last week. I have to look it up.
I know. Patricia went scurrying back to Belichick to a position unnamed.
That's nice. Did you see
put the pen? Grab the pencil and the laminated paper and stand way down there.
These guys are making Brock Miller take a photo. By the way, what a slap in the face. Do you want me to run over?
Do you want me to run over and be like, "Hey, do all three of you guys want to be in the shot?"
Yeah, you should.
Now, Jenkins, this is I love photos. Jenkins is like, "Is it good?" He's looking at it. Is it good?
Sure.
I hope he makes him take another. I hope he makes him take another.
Nah, it looks like he's going to approve it.
By the way, is there a media member or two who might go after Jenkins for fraternizing with the enemy and like the passion wasn't there? What's he doing after the game?
They grew up in the same town.
Again, I'm not doing rhymes with, but there's definitely at least one person in town who would do that.
I'm sure.
Oh, Brady's saying your guy.
Yes, that's right.
That's a good job.
Okay. He's an NFL head coach and he's an offensive line coach for a college team.
These guys all have buyouts. It's like, I'm going to work for shits and giggles.
I'm aware. Like, of course, that's what you're doing. You're going to make all this money from the buyout, but you still get to be coaching and be at Alabama where you're going to get a great job. I get all that part of it. But for an NFL head coach to take an offensive line coach job,
I think it's awesome.
Is hilarious. Also, Did you see the Kansas OC?
No.
The Kansas offensive coordinator, Brent Dearman,
Okay.
took the OC job at Middle Tennessee.
He left Kansas to go to Middle Tennessee.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like what?
Job security?
What?
Job security?
I guess.
Do we think that Les Miles is going to be around much longer?
That could be the thought process, I would imagine, but it's very weird.
I got it. By the way, on a side note, I'll whisper so I don't get caught. Have you ever seen a coach who likes his play-by-play guy this much? The radio play-by-play guy?
No. But that was last year, too. I actually noticed it last year.
Yeah, with Scotty G, who was on with us the other day. They are like best buddies. I can tell you, because there is.
He's waving at you.
I think he was waving at me. There is. TJ Altenberger is not going to be around me for more than a minute.
Oh, here's your chance. Here's your chance with Craig. Ask him.
No.
He just waved to you.
How you doing, Coach?
He's waving to you. You're not going to ask him?
No, that's ridiculous.
Oh God. Now the kid's coming over.
We're on a live stream. This is not off the record. What if he says something ridiculous? What if he says something ridiculous, starts cussing?
All right.
And then of course you would write about it. You'd blow him up.
Brock Miller is like 4 feet from you right now.
You want me to get up and ask him who do you favorably compare to in basketball history? He has to be African American.
No. That's the whole point. You can't ask him that. I just guarantee that he gives a white guy.
Oh, the player himself?
Yeah, you can't. You can't.
Oh,
you can't point that part out in the question.
All right, well, let's do this. Give me a writer that you compare yourself to, because as a broadcaster, I compare myself to Gus Johnson. Like the black. Yeah, I do. I'm very energetic. I can yell.
I just that echoed through the whole building. By the way,
that is not Gus Johnson.
But I'll
go more with Bip Roberts. Now, honestly, if we want to go this far, if I was going to compare myself to an African American talk show host, sports radio, we don't have any, because no one will hire them.
I was gonna compare myself to Whitlock.
That is actually really good. Adam Hill is Jason Whitlock, just slightly different politically. Although we don't know what Whitlock is.
Mike,
you know what I'm going to correct that.
Hold on,
Ray is right. I am Seat Williams.
We're live. Who do you compare Brock Miller to in the NBA?
Don't do it.
You can take your time.
Don't do it.
Yeah, he's gonna think about this. That's our good friend Mike Ramala. And I know people like to get a food update. He's not eating anything right now, so can't update you on
that. Close. Gap, Old Navy. It's actually Kohl's.
I actually knew that.
It's got a hole in the sleeve for street cred because I was chopping wood.
You were not. I would also say that
I've never actually done.
I would also say that if Big Lots sold clothes, you would definitely buy your clothes there.
No, Big Lots is too low grade. And yes, of course I use Kohl's Cash. Come on.
What is Kohl's Cash?
Do we have to explain this?
I assume it's like what you mean.
If you shop during the holidays at Kohl's, if it's Black Friday time, you get $15 Kohl's Cash on every 50 you spend. And the rest of the time, I think it's $10 on every 50 you spend. You just go in and you clean up. You just grab toasters and waffle makers. I have like every stupid appliance sitting in my garage. Sandwich makers, quesadilla makers, all from Kohl's Cash. So essentially, it's made my life worse because it's just clutter.
But when you're getting animated, I get distracted because I see you out of the corner of my eye, and then I look at you. I look at the back of your head instead of looking at you on camera. Because I am way up in the concourse, and you're way down on the court.
Willie has a question about the UNLV media room. Once it reopens, what will happen with CC's meal? Did CC's actually go bankrupt?
They're gone?
I mean, I feel bad for the employees, but an upgrade would be nice.
I mean, I thought their salads were tremendous.
This seems a bit heartless. Eddie says he just calls his wife the quesadilla maker.
Okay.
Can you carry the show for a second? We're going to go like 15 minutes longer, but I actually have to plug in.
Okay,
So I'm going to
fair
walk
enough.
around there.
I guess I'll
And
see.
at least Scott from Salt Lake now has a mask on, so I don't want
What
to walk anywhere near them and poison them.
are we talking? Wait, hold on. Somebody mentioned Burlington no longer Code Factory. I didn't know they dropped that from their name. That's actually kind of sad. You want to see where? Okay, I can. If you want, I can turn it around. I suppose, although it's going to take me a second to set up.
Are you going to put your camera on me walking?
That's. I think. Hopefully, people can see you. That's Steve down there. This is the Utah State broadcaster.
Hold on.
The court. So yeah, that's where I am.
Right,
Can you guys see him? I couldn't see what I was focusing on there, so I might not have showed you guys what I was actually doing. CC's did file Chapter 11. That is sad.
Oh wow. All right.
Yeah, Jason Whitelock. That's not.
You are nice. Jason White. You are Jason Whitelock.
It's perfect. Sorry,
we have a late night podcast. We do, and we have a late start today. We both have to do it live. Actually, my partner's right there, so we're at 2 different vantage points post game. So, here's. Oh no, I'm losing it. I got to plug in. I lost it. Well, by the way, thanks for coming on the other day.
Hey, no worries.
I'll be back on. Hold on. I got to plug in.
Dude,
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Well, hey, whatever you guys need, man.
Yeah, that was cool.
Appreciate it. We'll see you.
Yep. Have a good trip back.
That was yeah, you guys don't suck.
All right, the way I set that up. Yeah, I mean, they're solid. Yeah. Got to get Bryce Hamilton healthy, though. Yeah, that's a nightmare. See you, Scott.
Sorry, guys.
Did I knock us all out?
I don't know. You might have. Oh no, we're still on. We're good. Yeah, you guys got to hear the small talk.
I love the small talk. Well, I got to be polite. I can't be like, hey, get out of the way.
I couldn't handle 3 minutes on my own. It was mostly because I tried to turn the camera around and it kind of lost. We got a comparison for you from Mike Kamala.
That's great. Adam carried the show by just leaving and no one's in here, and then I'm just awkwardly walking around. All right, Brock Miller, Mike Ramala.
Duncan Robinson?
Come on. That's we don't want.
I think there was others. That one just made me laugh the most. I think he had a couple of names on there.
Fucking nightmare. Last 10 minutes, real quick here. So, did you see Tate Martell is in the transfer portal?
I mean, doesn't he live there? I think he has an apartment there.
He's in, man.
How many transfers will this be? 5?
Do you believe anyone will take him?
To play what position?
It's a good point.
I mean, there's a new administration here. Could he come back to UNLV? They're kind of loaded at quarterback. I don't know where he wants to go.
You know, that's funny because someone sitting next to me hadn't seen the story that Martell was in the transfer portal, and it said Tate Martell in transfer portal. Early rumors have him going to UNLV. And I looked at the person and I was like, no way.
What site was this?
I can't find it now. I didn't see. I don't know. I'll look around.
Yeah, maybe. He's a talented kid. It hasn't really panned out for him.
That seems crazy to me. If you're Marcus Arroyo and you're moving on from a lot of Sanchez's players, you're talking about building character, changing the culture, and you're going to get a guy who's committed to like 4 schools and stopped at 2 more. I mean, that would be a hell of a pitch by Martell and his people that, hey, you know what, I'm ready to go. I've turned the corner.
247 Sports crystal ball prediction. Tate Martell to UNLV.
Wow.
Oh, actually, Brady, look at like almost immediately as soon as I said it, Brady had sent it to me on Twitter. So yeah, but listen.
Yeah, but hey, Marcus, so are the 2 guys. Actually, so are the 3 guys he's recruited. Like I know Sanchez is the one who landed Broomfield, but Arroyo decided to offer him. Justin Rogers is mobile. He's a different kind of mobile. He's more of a straight line mobile, and Frio from Hawaii is also mobile. And by the way, they're all somewhere north of 6'3". They're 6'3", 6'4", 6'5". They're going to take on Tate Martell, who's 5'11".
I do know, and they're gone now, so I guess I can say it. the old staff would not have taken.
No, I thought we had said that.
Okay. I mean,
well, because how did Sanchez put it?
It was off the record, so I can't say.
I thought publicly he made it pretty clear too.
I think he did, but it was they would not have taken him. That's just the bottom line on it.
All right.
And that was people that knew him very well from high school. So it is. I just threw it on. So yeah, who
knows, man? Maybe he's brought in as like a, wide receiver / quarterback. He's a change of pace guy. I don't know. You never know.
You never know. I just saw this tweet, so I wanted to switch subjects a little bit. Houston, the Texans hired a coach tonight.
I saw it. Yeah.
So it's David Culley, who I don't think people know who he is. He was with the Bills for a while. He's been with the Ravens, wide receiver coach, passing game coordinator, which I know people have been laughing about all night. Ravens passing game coordinator. But I just saw a tweet from one of our reporter friends, Tim Graham from Buffalo. He said, I chatted with somebody who worked closely in Buffalo with David Culley tonight. Here's the conversation. Me, what kind of coach do you think he'll be? He's an awesome person. Silence. What about as a coach? He's a terrific guy. Silence. What impact did he have while he was in Buffalo? He's a great guy. Silence. That's not a ringing endorsement.
There are some people who say he's well regarded. He certainly lived the life. He's 65 years old. He was, I don't know if he was the first black quarterback in the SEC. He was at Vandy, but I know it was notable. I have to read the note again, but it's notable and a note. Here's the thing. And first of all, I have to say I was wrong. They did hire a person of color. I don't want to question the motivation of why they did it. They feel he's qualified. So I said back when O'Brien was fired, there's no way they hire a person of color. I think there are many more qualified candidates on the surface. So we'll see if it works out. And I don't know. I hope he's a good coach in this. And the hire wasn't made because they believe he's the best guy to draw Deshaun Watson back.
I mean, I feel like that's what they're doing.
I mean, John McClain of the Chronicle in H-Town said that there's a good chance that Lovie Smith could be the defensive coordinator. So that's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like if you were, and I don't know what their plans were. I don't know that they just said, hey, we need to hire a candidate of color because of the pressure that's on us to do so. I don't know if that's what they did. It seems like that's what they did because they interviewed a bunch of people and then they narrowed it down to, 2 African-American candidates and then decided to hire somebody that wasn't even on their finalist list. It seemed like that's what they were doing. And if that's what they were doing, like, I guess, like, you're trying, but at the same time, like, your job is to find the best candidate. There was plenty of really, really good candidates that were also candidates of color. This seems like a weird one.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know if it was a Hail Mary to try to keep Deshaun Watson. In that case, you would hope that Deshaun Watson talked to him and met with him because I just saw it today. It was like, hey, they're hoping to get together and meet and talk. I was like, well, wouldn't you have waited? Like, wouldn't you have waited for him to talk to him and meet him and see if they gelled and bonded before you hired him?
Yeah, in theory, but I don't know. I have no idea what's been going on behind the scenes. So, and I also don't want to discredit this dude, Culley, before we find out who he is and what kind of references he has and, who thinks he can be a good head coach. So, but your conversation or relaying the conversation from Tim Graham to us is kind of interesting.
Yeah. And especially that's not on that's not a named source or anything. That's just, hey, talking on background, like what happened here.
I never thought Bieniemy would go to Houston, but I mean, it just seems kind of absurd that, they've got a 65-year-old coach. Isn't he I think he's the oldest. first time coach in the history of the NFL.
Yep, oldest first time coach.
And the NFL is going all Biden and DJT. The Super Bowl matchup has 2 super old guys. By the way, what's the gap between Andy Reid and Bruce Arians? What do you think it is?
Without looking?
Yeah.
Do you know?
I think I know, yeah.
I'm gonna say they're close, like 4 years.
You think they're 6, and Reed's the younger guy.
Wow. Yeah, I thought Arians is old.
Bruce Arians is 68.
Wow. So yeah, and I think Reed 62. Yeah. Wow.
There you go, Brady, research guy.
So
He's
good.
a different sort of producer than Ari. Ari clearly is a better guest booker, but Brady's still developing. He's a great research guy. Last one before we get out of here, before we get kicked out. Yeah, Andy Reid looks 82. Well, he's not shy. He's not shy about how much he eats. So
Arians doesn't look 30. It's not like Arians looks young.
I thought because of COVID and he had to wear all these different masks and he didn't have his normal Kangol, like his matching Kangol to the shirt and his stylish glasses on. I thought he looked old as hell this year. Like I think once he gets back to normal and he can style and profile, then he's good to go. He'll look like he's 65 again.
I'll take your word for it.
That's actually a good question. What will Andy Reid do now that CC's is out?
We might find a new pizza place. Maybe we'll just open one.
Well, this is a good topic for Petro next week. We'll have to get into the topic of, are there good cheeseburgers in Kansas City? You would assume, since it's a big steak town, that they can make cheeseburgers.
Aren't they going to, even if they're average, they'll just say it's the best? Like with their barbecue?
What do you think they lie about their barbecue?
Of course. I mean, Arkansas is clearly better.
Based on the fact that we have an Arkansas joint here in Vegas and we don't really have a KC joint, I don't think.
No, I don't think that. I mean, I like that place a lot, but like when I've been to Arkansas, I'm like blown away. And when I've been to Kansas City, I'm like, this is really good.
That's good. Last one. When you get home, are you going to listen to Doc Travis and Kurt Schilling this morning? They chopped it up.
No.
Kurt Schilling said if he had voted Democrat, he'd be in the Hall of Fame.
Jesus fucking Christ, man. So it drives me nuts. First of all, like the issue isn't his politics as much as it is he's an asshole. So like nobody will vouch for him. And a couple of things I've read is like reporters have gone back and just asked all of his ex-teammates, hey, can we get one positive quote about the guy?
Yeah.
And nothing.
Meanwhile, he was saying today, he's like, you couldn't find one teammate who says I'm, anti-gay or transphobe or this or that. They won't even talk about you, dude. We can't get anyone to say anything.
No, nothing. And then, he's got all the craziness, but it's not even just the politics. It's he scammed all that money.
Yep.
He and by the way, like I know it shouldn't matter. It shouldn't. But he has directly antagonized the voters.
Yeah.
Like he's worn anti-voter shirts and anti-media, hats and shirts, and like you're attacking the people that have to vote to get you in. And then he's like, "Well, I'll just wait for the Veterans Committee to put me in." They ain't putting you in either, bro. So, what is your end game? What is the plan here? It should not have anything to do with politics, and I don't think it does. But at the same time, if it were about politics, which I don't think it is, I think it would be fair. And I'll tell you why, because I don't think it should be about politics, but it's because of this. Kurt Schilling has said, stick to sports. Shut the hell up about your opinions.
Yep.
Well, if we know what your opinions are, why doesn't it apply to you?
Right.
So I would just be like, hey, listen, I just don't appreciate, I don't care what your politics are. I just don't appreciate you putting them out. Stick to sports. I'm not going to vote for you because of that. I mean, that's the crazy part of this. And by the way, as I said, like the more I think about it, I don't think politics should play it either way, but I don't believe being Q is politics. I don't.
Right.
Like that's a dangerous thing. And I don't think it should count.
This would be classy, wouldn't it? A Schilling Hall of Fame speech would be something to watch.
Did you see the proposal today? It might have been Mina Kimes. I'm not sure who had the proposal, so I don't want to credit. But somebody said, "How about you start putting people in, but you determine whether they get a speech by if there's questions about them." So Barry Bonds is in, but he doesn't get a speech. Schilling's in, but he doesn't get a speech.
Yeah, I don't like it.
I don't either. It's just I don't think there's a good solution.
I saw so many arguments, and I don't really go onto Facebook to read comments, but I saw so many arguments where people are like, if you put Bonds in, then you have to put in Sheffield and this guy and that guy. And I don't respond to people, but I wanted to be like, good, put them all in. You're not going to play this game of like leverage. Like, well, I mean, if you put in Bonds, you got to put in Sosa. Okay, let's keep playing the game. If they're deserving, put them in. We have Alex Reimer on every once in a while who works. He's on CBS National. Used to be at EEI. He was the one who called Tom Brady's kid a pissant.
Yeah.
So we like him. He said, he tweeted out yesterday, he goes, my favorite Curt Schilling story is when he texted me once saying he hopes my wife has big balls because I don't have any.
I saw that tweet yesterday.
Yeah. Which, by the way, is hilarious because Alex is gay, okay. So he doesn't have a wife. Outsports, the site that he works for, went with your line of thinking, said, add another line to Schilling's post-baseball shame resume, supporter of American sedition. Will voters induct its first Hall of Famer advocating for violent overthrow of the government? All right. Boom.
I mean, how can you justify putting that person in? Seriously. And again, that's not politics. Like, it's not that he's for a lower corporate tax rate. This is not political.
What about the response that Ty Cobb is a horrendous human being? If he's in, then Schilling has to be in. Or do we counter with, all right, well, that was part of that era. There were a lot of horrendous human beings. We've learned our lessons. Put a stop to it. Stop putting people in like that.
My actual belief is everyone should be in or out.
Yeah.
Right. You should be in or out based on your performance. It wouldn't matter who you are, what you do, anything like that. That's my belief what the Hall of Fame should be. But if we're going to start making determinations here, like if Barry Bonds is not in, then we can't put Curt Schilling in. We just can't. Like, we're going to start making determinations about character and all these other things, then sorry, you're out.
The interesting thing on this comment about Ty Cobb wouldn't get in today, I don't know that he would have finished his career. He actually said it, but there was a story that he killed a drifter in 1912.
Yeah.
So would the murder rap kind of take him out of the Hall of Fame mix if that actually happened?
Isn't OJ in? Or they talk about? I think he's still in, but Dude,
I have no idea.
Out? I don't know how that is.
So I like Candy's reference to the whole Democrat thing. Candy was like, because Schilling's like, if I voted Democrat, I'd be in the Hall of Fame. Candy was like, have you seen the Hall of Fame voters? Do you have any clue where a lot of the super old fat ones reside in the political landscape?
Yeah, that's.
What do you think? This is some diverse group of all, of all freaking progressive, far left wing liberals? Yeah,
and I saw that last night too, and I was like, that's a tremendous point. I saw it circulating on Twitter yesterday. I was like, yeah, who now you're just assuming that all the voters are like crazy liberals.
Right.
Like, so now you're making assumptions again, which I don't think that's the case. Like, old baseball guys are not liberals.
I would say more of the baseball writers who get to participate are more like Doc Travis.
Doc Travis. There will not be 10 deaths. There won't be 10 deaths. But the crazy part is he's still considering himself an expert on COVID. Like, I saved the tweet that there won't be 10 deaths. And he's still going about like he's an expert, calling people Corona bros. These guys are. You said there wouldn't be 10 deaths. Your credibility is gone. You're done. Doc Travis.
All right. Well, we appreciate you guys jumping in with us. Sorry it was so late. We were supposed to go at 9 today. We wound up going at 10:35, but hopefully you enjoyed that. We're back tomorrow. Justin Watkins will be in. It'll be Justin and myself at 9 o'clock, and then Adam may be able to jump on well after the VGK game if it's over soon enough. And I appreciate you, Adam, sticking around and doing this. So,
of course.
Very cool. And one more thing on the Hall of Fame. Keep in mind, Ortiz and A-Rod get added to the mix. So good luck sorting that one out.
Nobody's in.
Right? And if they pick one person, everyone else is going to be like, what? Then they're all going to be throwing daggers. Actually, I was going to say they'd all be throwing daggers at each other, but I didn't see Clemens and Bonds come out pissing and moaning and accusing others of raids. So right now it's only Schilling who keeps doing that and calling other people liars and cheats.
Pot calling kettle.
Oh, of course. throwing syringes at each other.
That'll be fun.
All right, we'll see you tomorrow night. And one more important thing, if you guys are comfy going out and you want to watch the hockey game tomorrow, I'm not saying I'm sticking around for the hockey game, but Silver Sevens is a cool spot right in the middle of town, well, sort of, on the east side, Flamingo and Paradise. And for every VGK game, doesn't matter where it is, home or away, when you go to Silver Sevens to watch it, when the game is on, the beers are 77 cents. So it's Bud Light, Shock Top, and Michelob Ultra, 77-cent bottles. That's kind of cool. If Adam drank like he used to, well, I'll say if Adam drank like he does when he's on vacation, because that's when you let loose,
Sure.
77-cent beers might bury you. You might set a record.
That'd be great.